This is episode 4 of Sexuality and the Soul. And episode 4 is about the body as the temple. I think I would call this title for episode 4 the body as sacred. And to give you some insight to say that not everyone gets access to your body. And I don't mean that as a rule, and I don't mean it as something for you to write on a wall, on a sticky note, or to repeat to yourself as an affirmation or as if you're setting a boundary. I mean it as a truth that your body already knows, that there are places in you that were never meant to be entered lightly, that that was never designed for casual approach, that were never built for someone who has not earned the right to be close to what is holy. You get what I'm saying? Your body was never just a physical thing. It was never just skin, muscle, and breath. It was always carrying something deeper than that. Something that cannot be seen but can absolutely be felt. Something that knows the difference between presence and performance. Between someone who is truly there and someone who's just passing through. And your body keeps account. Even when your mind is telling you you are fine. Even when you convince yourself it didn't even matter. Even when you gave access without thought and calling it freedom. Something in you knew. That knowing was never judgment. It was not shame dressed up as intuition. It was not your conditioning telling you that something wrong. It was your body faithful to itself, marking what was real and what was not. You were taught that the body as a temple was a metaphor, something poetic, something to say in the church and then leave it there. But what if it was never a metaphor? What if the people who first said it meant it exactly as it sounded? A dwelling place, an actual dwelling place, where something lives that is not separate from the sacred, that has never been separate from the sacred, that was always already holy ground. And what happens inside a dwelling place is not casual. It is not accidental. It is not something you stumble into without awareness. It is entered with intention, or it is not entered at all. Not because you are withholding, not because you are building walls or making yourself hard to reach, but because you know what you're holding. And what you're holding deserves to be approached accordingly. Think about the people you have let in, not just physically, the ones who you allowed close enough to touch something real in you, the ones whose energy you carried after they left. the ones who left something in the room that took time to clear. Your body remembers every single one. Not as trauma, not always as pain, but as information. The body is remarkable when you start to study it and understand it. As the faithful record of what happened here and what it cost and what it gave and what it's worth, that's what it does. It holds all that information. This is not about shame. I want to be clear about that. This is not about making you feel wrong for the access you gave, for the moments you moved too fast, for the times you said yes when something quiet in you was still deciding. That woman was doing what she knew how to do with what she had been given. And what she had been given was almost no language for any of this. No one taught us that our body was sacred. They taught us it was something to manage, something to cover, something to control, something to be ashamed of when wanting to explore. So you moved through it without reverence because no one had ever shown you what reverence of your own body looked like. But you're here now. And here is what is true now. The pleasure in your body is not separate from what is sacred. The wanting, the opening, the release, the fullness that comes after, all of it is life moving. It's life moving through the body it built for itself. God, if that word means anything to you, was never absent from the room. And when I say God, that's one of the words we can use, or it could be awareness, consciousness, the universe, divine, almighty. It still means the same. So let's say God was never watching from a distance, waiting to mark it against you. But what was in it is in it, has always been in it. So the person you allowed in, the touch you received, the pleasure you moved towards, alone or with another, that is ceremony. Not because you made it heavy, not because you turned it into something serious or solemn, but because the body was always there. It was always a ceremony. It was always sacred ground. It was always a dwelling place for something that deserved to be approached with care. So treat it accordingly. Not as punishment, not as withholding, not as a new set of rules to follow. As reverence. The kind that comes from finally understanding what you have been carrying this whole time. The kind that makes you slow down, not because someone told you to, but because you can finally feel how much this matters. Not everyone gets access to your body. And now you know why. Not because you are closed, but because you are holy. Selah.